Hi. So, then put a little bit of a spin out there and said, you know, let's choose which one we want to do. And the results are in from the total of 5 people that voted. And we're doing Jack and the Beanstalk. So here we go. This is Bedtime Stories with Chris. So, Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time on a little farm, there lived a boy named Jack. He lived on the farm with his mother, and they were very excluded from the normal circles of economic activity. This cruel reality kept them in straits of direness until one day Jack's mother told him to take the family cow into town and sell it for as much as he could. Never mind the thousands of gallons of milk they had stolen from her, never mind the hours of pleasure their bovine animal companion had provided, and forget about the manure that they had appropriated from the garden. She was now just another piece of property to them. Jack, who didn't realize that non-human animals have as many rights as human animals, perhaps even more, did as his mother asked. On the way to town, Jack met an old magic vegetarian who warned Jack of the dangers of eating beef and dairy products. "Oh, I'm not going to eat this cow," said Jack. "I'm going to take her into town and sell her. But by doing that, you'll just perpetuate the cultural mythos of beef, ignoring the negative impact of the cattle industry on our ecology and the health and social problems that arise from meat consumption. But you look too simple to be able to make these connections, my boy. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll offer a trade of your cow for these 3 magic beans, which have as much protein as an entire cow, but none of the fat or sodium." Jack made the trade gladly and took the beans home to his mother. When he told her about the deal he had made, she grew very upset. She used to think that her son was merely a conceptual rather than a linear thinker, but now she was sure that he was downright differently abled. She grabbed the 3 magic beans and threw them out the window in disgust. Later that day, she attended her first support group meeting for mothers with storybook children. The next morning, Jack stuck his head out the window to see if the sun had risen in the east again. He was beginning to think that there was a pattern to this. But outside the window, the beans had grown into a huge stalk and reached through the clouds. But he no longer had a cow to milk in the morning, so Jack climbed the beanstalk into the sky. At the top, above the clouds, he found a huge castle. It was not only big, it was built to larger than average scale, as if it were the home of someone who just happened to be a giant. Jack entered the castle and heard beautiful music wafting through the air. He followed the sound until he found its source, a golden harp that played music without even being touched. Next to the self-actualized harp was a hen sitting on a pile of golden eggs. Now, the prospect of easy wealth and mindless entertainment appealed to Jack's bourgeois sensibilities, so he picked up both the harp and the hen and started to run for the front door. Then he heard thundering footsteps and a booming voice that said, we all know what this one's going to be, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an English person, and I'd like to learn about his cultural and his views on life and share my own prospects of an open and generous way." Ultimately, Jack was too crazed with greed to accept the giant's offer of cultural interchange. "It's only a trick," thought Jack. "Besides, what's a giant doing with such a fine, delicate things? He must have stolen them from somewhere else, so I have every right to take them." His frantic justifications, remarkable for someone with his overtaxed mental resources, revealed a terrible callousness to the giant's personal rights. Jack apparently was a complete Cesiast and thought that all giants were clumsy, knowledge-impaired, and exploitable. When the giant saw Jack with the magic harp and the hen, he asked, "What are you taking that belongs to me?" Jack knew he couldn't outrun the giant, so he had to think fast. He blurted out, "I'm not taking them, my friend. I am merely placing them in my stewardship so that they can be properly managed and brought to their fullest potential. Pardon my bluntness, but you giants are too simple in the head and don't know how to manage your resources properly. I'm just looking out for your best interest. You'll thank me for this later." Jack held his breath to see if the bluff would save his skin. The giant sighed heavily and said, "Yes, you are right. We giants do use our resources foolishly. Why, we can't even discover a new beanstalk before we get so excited and pick away at it so much that we pull the poor thing out of the ground. Jack's heart sank. He turned and looked out the front door of the castle. Sure enough, the giant had destroyed his beanstalk. Jack grew frightened and cried, "Now I'm trapped here in the clouds with you forever." The giant said, "Don't worry, my little friend. We are strict vegetarians up here, and there are always plenty of beans to eat. And besides, you won't be alone. 13 other men of your size have already climbed up beanstalks to visit us and stayed." So Jack resigned himself to his fate as a member of the giant's cloud commune. He didn't miss his mother or the farm much because up in the sky there was less work to do and more than enough to eat. And he gradually learned not to judge people based on their size ever again, except for those shorter than he. Interesting. So I always like to read something else because it's more fun. So we're back to Where the Sidewalk Ends. And somebody said I should show pictures. We're going to read Sick. And yeah, that's about it. That's all the pictures I got. So I know we all wish it was Saturday today, so enjoy this. "I cannot go to school today," said little Peggy Ann McKay. "I have the measles and the mumps, a gash, a rash, and purple bumps. My mouth is wet, my sore is dry, and I'm going blind in my right eye. My tonsils are as big as rocks. I've counted 16 chicken pox. And there's one more. That's 17. And don't you think my face looks green? My leg is cut, my eyes are blue. It might be instamatic flu. I cough and sneeze and gasp and choke. I'm sure that my left leg is broke. My hip hurts when I move my chin, my belly button's caving in. My back is wretched, my ankle sprained, my appendix pains each time it rains. My nose is cold, my toes are numb. I have a sliver in my thumb." Actually, I really do. "My neck is stiff, my voice is weak, I hardly whisper when I speak. My tongue is filling up my mouth, I think my hair is falling out. My elbow's bent, my spine ain't straight, my temperature is 108. My brain is shrunk, I cannot hear, there is a hole inside my ear. I have a hangnail and my heart is..." What? What's that? What's that you say? You say today is Saturday? Goodbye. I'm going out to play. It's a good one, huh? Alright, stay safe, stay healthy, still COVID-19 free. See you next time, guys. Good night.